Hello, everybody. This is Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. Part 5, Chapter 21. As soon as Karenin learned from Betsy and Stepan Arkadyevitch that everyone, and Anna more than all, expected him to give his wife her freedom, he felt himself in perplexity. Unable to make a decision personally, he placed his fate in the hands of the others, glad enough to rid himself of it, and ready to accept anything that might be proposed to him. He didn't awake to the reality until the morning after Anna's departure, when the English governess asked if she should dine with him or by herself. During the first days after Anna's departure, Alexey Alexandrovitch kept up his audiences, went to council, dined at home as usual. All the powers of his mind had only one aim, to appear calm and indifferent. He made superhuman efforts to answer the questions of the servants in regard to what should be done about Anna's rooms and her things, and to show the manner of a man prepared for whatever happened, and who saw nothing extraordinary in it. 2 days he succeeded in hiding his pain, but on the third, when Corney handed him a bill from the milliner's shops, which Anna had forgotten to pay, and told him that the messenger was there, Alexey had him introduced. "Your Excellency will please excuse us," said the messenger, "and give us Madame's address, if it be to her that we must write." Alexey Alexandrovitch appeared to be cogitating. Then, suddenly turning around, he sat down near the table. For some time he sat there, his head resting on his hand, trying in vain to speak. Corney understood his master, and told the messenger to come another time. Left alone, Alexey Alexandrovitch felt that he had no longer the power to keep up the show of firmness and ease. He sent away his carriage, which was waiting for him, refused to see visitors, and no longer went out to dine. He felt that he could not endure the disdain and hardness which he clearly read on the faces of the messenger, of his servants, of all whom he met without exception. If he had deserved this public detestation by blameworthy conduct, he might have hoped to regain the esteem of the world by improvement in conduct. But he wasn't to blame. He was unhappy with an unhappiness that was odious and shameful. He knew that it was precisely for this reason that his heart was torn, that they would be pitiless to him. It seemed to him that his fellow man persecuted him as dogs torture to death some poor cur maimed and howling with pain. He knew that the only safety for men was to hide his wounds, but 2 days of struggle had already used up his energies. His despair was made deeper by the knowledge that he was absolutely alone in his suffering. In all Petersburg there wasn't a man to whom he could confide all his wretchedness, not one who could have any pity for him now, but not as lofty as chinovnik or a member of society, but simply as a human being in despair. Alexey Alexandrovitch had lost his mother when he was 10 years old. He had no remembrance of his father. He and his one brother were left orphans with a very small inheritance. Their uncle Karenin, a man of influence held in high esteem by the late emperor, took charge of their bringing up. After a successful course at the gymnasium and the university, Alexey Alexandrovitch, through his uncle's aid, made a brilliant start in official life, and, burning with ambition, devoted himself exclusively to his career. He formed no ties of intimacy, either in the gymnasium nor the university, or afterward in society. His brother alone was dear to him, but he entered the Department of Foreign Affairs and died abroad soon after Alexey Alexandrovitch's marriage. While Karenin was governor of one of the provinces, Anna's aunt, a very wealthy baruina, introduced her niece to this governor, who was young for such a position, if not in years, and she forced him to the alternative of getting married or leaving the city. Alexey Alexandrovitch long hesitated. There seemed as many reasons against marriage as in its favor, but he couldn't in the present case apply his favorite maxim, when in doubt, don't. Anna's aunt sent word to find him through a friend that his attentions had compromised the young lady, and that as a man of honor he must offer her his hand. He offered himself, and gave her, first his fiancée, afterwards his wife, all the affection which it was in his power to show. This attachment prevented him from feeling the need of any other intimacy, and now, out of all the number of his acquaintances, he hadn't one friend. His position was such that he could invite great personages to dinner, ask favors of them in the interests of his public capacity or protection for some petition. He could even discuss and freely criticize the actions of other people and have a certain number of listeners, but his relations of cordiality with these people were exclusively confined to his official domain, from which it was impossible to escape. There was one university professor with whom he felt well acquainted, and to whom he would have been willing to speak of his private sorrows, but this professor happened to be away. Of all the people in Petersburg, the nearest and most practicable acquaintances were his chief secretary and his doctor. Mikhail Basilyevich Syudin was a simple, good, intelligent, well-bred man, and he seemed full of sympathy for Karenin. But the hierarchy of office put a barrier between them which silenced confidences. Alexey Alexandrovitch, having signed the papers which he brought, found it impossible, as he looked at Slyudin, to open his heart to him. The question, "Do you know my misfortune?" was on his lips. He couldn't give it utterance, and when they parted he limited himself to his usual formula of farewell: "You will have the goodness to prepare me this work." The doctor was another man who was well disposed to him, but Alexey Alexandrovitch knew he was a very busy man, and between them there was a tacit pledge by which each recognized the other as full of business, and thus cut short their interviews. As to friends among women, the chief among these was Countess Lydia. Karenin didn't think of them at all. Women, simply as women, were strange and repulsive.